Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the second episode of After the Drop. It's a podcast where we do a little bit of a deep dive on origins. So this episode, we featured my man over here, Cary Brobeck. This one was a special one as we were able to kind of intertwine a couple different storylines, but the main one was kind of keeping print alive in a digital age.
When you first asked me, I thought you were just, giving me lip service, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Sure, yeah. And then the talks kept happening, and I was like, is he really going to do this? Even my wife was like, why would he do it on you? Like, you're just a dad, So I was really nervous on how it would come out, how to tell the story, because I always think it's not that interesting, but.
Yeah, you had definitely said a couple times throughout the filming of it that you were just like, I don't see how this scene is fun. I don't see if this is fun. Like the whole going through your magazine collection. That part, funny enough, was one of my favorite scenes, was just you just digging through this massive pile of magazines of that dating back all the way to the 60s, and to be able to see, maybe from your perspective, not seeing the elation, the lighting up of your eyes, flipping through and seeing something that you have seen before. That was really cool to me, to see you smelling and having these memories coming up. I did want to ask, what was now that you got to actually see the thing, what was your favorite scene, would you say, out of the entire episode?
I like the scene with Apollo. I mean, that's kind of where I grew up, right? Like my grandparents used to own those apartments, now I own them. So I did grow up there. Mm-hmm. So Apollo running around portraying me. I probably had long hair back then. My parents were hippies, right? So, yeah, that was neat. That was really cool you did that. When you first said it, I thought, oh, that's cool. And then, how it all worked out, how we just used that place. And, originally we were going to do somewhere else. It was neat. It was touching.
I do need to give a shout out to Michelle, is her name, right?
Yeah.
Manny's girl.
Yeah.
Because wrangling Apollo, he's 2 years old?
Yeah, he's a handful.
For anybody for that scene, we were doing a recreation scene of Cary as a young child growing up in a biker home. And the idea, when I first pitched it to Manny was, oh, this is going to be easy. I was like, we'll have him doing some coloring on a coloring book. Manny says, that's easy. We're good. Well, Apollo gets there, and he didn't have a nap, from my understanding, and he was grumpy, and his inability to focus, being a 2-year-old, was not quite there. And I will have to say props to Michelle, because she was wrangling and wrangling, and just all those beautiful moments I got were just these little moments that I had to cut around, but to get those one moments. And ultimately, my favorite shot was when he was sitting in that hammock, and his eyes, like just watching you guys. You got to see this conversation that we're having, or that you were talking about, seeing it through his eyes. That scene was incredible. And I did want to say thank you so much for being so vulnerable with that, because that is not an easy story to share, growing up the way you did, and kind of the things that you saw. So yeah, it's cool to see you being so vulnerable.
Yeah. Like I think I mentioned it before, like I truly blacked out a lot of that. You brought some of it back. So for good or for bad, it doesn't matter. You brought it back, and like I got to kind of remember and relive some of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And then, Loanne, what was your favorite scene that you saw?
I don't know about favorite scene, but coming back to like you being so vulnerable, and from my point of view as an audience member, seeing like you went through something and you're still having like agency and control over your life, or like you're still pushing ahead, doing the things you enjoy. Like you can have those moments and still have these moments, and I just think people just need to keep seeing that. And it was really cool to just see that on the screen, like where you said I blacked it out, and I like thought, wow, that must have been like just something else, because everyone has something where you remember it, but blacking it out, that's like different level.
Yeah, it's a lot of childhood trauma. I mean, I think a lot of people, and I've heard this, like seen some comments and stuff on the YouTube channel, people that are my age, that's just how we grew up. Times are different now, but we grew up in a crazy era. I think it's the late 70s, early 80s. Parents were just partying, having a good time. Grandparents are raising you. Like so many people, a lot of my friends went through the same thing, and a lot of people our age went through the same thing. You guys probably, you're 10 years younger than me, so you caught the tail end of that stuff.
It's interesting. I've been like listening to or watching this, learning about this concept of social referencing. And how like every generation has like something happens to you, like let's say you fall on the ground, depending on who you're with, that may feel worse, or that may feel like not a thing. And I think that when you were saying, you know, you blacked it out, I'm like, God, were you all alone in that moment? Because like it just made me think right away of all the moments that I had like that. And so I just kept thinking, this is like so good for people to hear, because like people are still processing or suppressing things. And anyway, yeah, there was lots of cool things besides, you know, you sharing. Just, I don't know, just images. Just, it's always cool seeing like a group of people enjoy something together. And it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of baseball, where you get, everybody gets their moment to like bat, but then you're with a team. So like, I think motorcycle is not quite the same thing, but you get your kind of solitude, but also like
The community aspect
yeah,
of it. Yeah.
and that's like super unique.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny, kind of asking those questions of what is your favorite scene, and while that scene was ultimately like, I think the most, I mean, there were a lot of raw scenes, but that scene was so raw and captured so well. I thought that it painted such a good story that it really took you there. But for me, my favorite scene, funny enough, was also probably the final scene. And usually in episodes, I struggle with the ending. The ending is so hard to do. You can come out of the gate really well. You can have these beautiful montages, but how do you like take all this story and end it? You know, and I think that's been my biggest struggle so far with these episodes, is coming up with a very powerful ending. And when we had first discussed where your story was going, I think I was just going to leave it with like, here's where we're going to go. Here's the future of AI, and kind of dabble in that a little bit. But halfway through our interview with you, you said this line that instantly triggered, and I said, that's the ending, is when you were talking about Joe Teresi, and then here you are going, you know, these words that are coming out of my mouth, I'm Joe Teresi.
You're going to hate me. You're going to hate me right now. You're going to hate me because Joe Teresi wasn't a really good person. Like, he wasn't in the industry. He wasn't known. He was good to me. He brought me on. He kept me on. I learned a lot, not from him. He was already removed from the company, running it he was in Florida at the time, right? But he allowed like Dave Nichols and the crew to bring me in. So I owe him a lot for that, right? But in the industry-wise, he was a cutthroat. And that's not who I am. So when I heard that line, I was like, oh, it's a little bit out of context. But as far as the talking about AI in the industry, and that part, we definitely shared that thought, you know, where at the time, like I was telling him, like, we got to do Facebook, we got to do Instagram, we got to do digital, we got to do this. And now I'm backing off of that, going, fuck, we don't need any of that. Let's just print a magazine and ride motorcycles and have fun. Like, we don't need all this. So I'm glad you're shooting this on like 16 millimeter film that you're going to upload. But yeah, it's so when I heard that line in the last, like, it was a little bit cringe for me, but I understood where it was coming from, so I was fine with it. Like, it wasn't, because I don't want to be compared to that guy, to be honest with you.
Sure.
You know, it's but in that sense, I understand why.
Yeah, I think in the context of the episode,
it
many
made
people
sense.
didn't know who he was, and I think the main point that you were saying, like you just said, was you came in at a time when the internet was taking over, and you're forecasting where it was going to go. And I actually worked for a tech company where I was in that same position, watching this happening and telling my bosses and the president, this is where it's going to go, and having them shut me down and say, no, this is what we've been doing for 20 years. This is how it is. So it was very personal to hear that. So I think in that construct in which we had set, that was just a really funny bookend, that you ended up in that moment understanding where he was coming from and going
100%.
Yes,
yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah, that was funny. And I was like literally listening, going, that's the ending hook. And I got so much praise for the way in which that ended, which is funny because I never get complimented on the ending of my pieces.
Yeah, it was a great ending.
Yeah, and then the way I just hung it there, and you just sat there kind of literally going.
It almost seemed like we could have kept going too, right? Like we could have kept going on why I was saying that, but I guess now we're doing it. But the other fun part was the desert shoot. Like that was fun. That's where I mean, you guys ride like, and I, you know me, like I don't like to be late, and then I was late that day because I was on the phone. I can't remember who I was talking to, and I overshot
like
the
20
cutoff.
miles, right?
Well, like 20 miles, and I was like, fuck, I'm coming to Barstow or something.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to turn around, take all these side streets, and I was hauling ass to get there.
And
like,
racing against the light.
Yeah, because I knew that's what we were up against, right? We wanted that sunset shoot. So, and now, and like I knew, I was like, oh, we're in the middle of nowhere. I'm not wearing a helmet. Like, you know, because when we do these like long rides to like Sturgis and stuff or wherever we're going, as soon as we get out of the helmet law states, my helmet's off. My wife hates it. She works in a hospital, and she's like sees motorcycle traumas all the time. So she's just like, she will not take her helmet off to ride. You know, she did once in Mexico, and we were going through a gate, and the gate came down, hit her in the head, and like split her head off. She's like, "Fuck! See this? I never
There
wear.
it
I always
is.
wear my helmet." Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I did want to say thank you, Loanne and Michael, who's off the camera over here, and Donovan, who's off camera as well, for supporting that shoot. You know,
So fun.
yeah. In prior episodes, I think some of the funny enough, it's about motorcycles. Some of the most boring stuff is the riding stuff because you can only do so much from a low angle, high angle, side angle, and it's like it's done so many times over and over and over. And meeting with, you know, Loanne and Michael and Donovan and Dean as well, you know, I had said, how do we elevate it enough to at least, you know, make it look something new? And this was like a week or a week, 10 days before?
6.
6 days. So
No, maybe barely 6 days.
yeah, and so I call you and I go, hey, I need help with this riding foot. You know, can you get up, you know, a crew and bring out, you know, $50,000-$60,000 worth of gear just on a whim, and then you guys all made it happen.
It was so fun. I was so excited because normally as a producer, I'm not in the camera car. I like was in there one time with the arm car with the crane, but I'm usually not in it, let alone drive it. But because we were a super skeleton crew, that everybody just had to trust that everybody was in the right spot, and there was no rehearsal, there was no location scouting, and you arrived at the perfect time. I think you arrived exactly 45 minutes. Actually, my impression when you got there, I was like, this guy's so generous. He has a cooler with all the drinks.
Yeah. 805.
805. Send the check.
Yeah,
805.
send
Send
the
the check. Billy Barnes.
Yes,
write it out to
please
him.
It was super cool because I felt like I was like, okay, he's late. Okay, perfect. Now we can just do a quick run and get a sense of the road because we didn't get to like scout the actual what does the road look like, because when we're doing car shoots we do take a lot of that in consideration depending on, is this like an aggressive looking car, is the family oriented car, because that road has to support that visual. And so, but in this case we weren't looking at, we were just kind of seeing, is this a bumpy road, are we gonna have like a stable shot, like because we're shooting with an arm, I mean, what would you say?
Alien,
like,
Hydra
like,
alien, right?
it's like a, would you call it a black arm?
It's like choppering filming. Like you guys choppered.
In
We
here.
just went for it. Like the first
It was so
scene,
cool. Yeah.
it was just one take.
Yeah.
Luckily, my bike's pretty dialed in, and
Yeah.
like one kick, fired up, and like
Oh, that establishing shot when we pushed
Yeah.
in, you started it. That was
I kind of hope
beautiful.
you slot in some of this like stuff that didn't make it to like in this podcast, because
I will.
there was so many cool aerial shots that Donovan did with Dean. Like Donovan was piloting the drone.
That first shot on the drone is flying backwards at 40 miles per hour, looking down, rotating, and then zooming off. I was just sitting in the back, and usually I have my hands on everything, and that shoot in particular, I had no hands. Like I had Dean running camera, I had Donovan. Yeah, I was holding the dog. Yeah, I brought Matcha, so I'm literally holding the dog, going, well, I guess I'm just gonna
Yeah,
hang
it
out,
is,
drink some beers. Yeah,
I
so.
mean, Billy did, like, you know, he's always going to shoot something, right? So when we were kind of rehearsing, like when we're kind of rehearsing together with nobody running, we're just kind of looking at what we're seeing, like getting the lay of the land. Billy was shooting like B-roll, like with
Yeah.
his camera.
shooting
So
something.
like you would put like a twig in front and then like do a few runs with Cary. But like we only did like 2 or 3.
Oh, it was so quick.
total.
That really is a testament to the professionalism that we brought.
Yeah.
Like it was like sun's going down. We got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
because I was 45 minutes late.
Yeah,
So
It
I was
worked
like,
out.
we need to.
we got
I
it.
need to nail this.
We
like
all
I can't.
performed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like a very like a ballet a little
Yeah.
bit. And like we were all learning as we are basically building the car as we drive it. Because for example, when we all got in the car, I was like, okay, Billy, I'm gonna start telling you how many miles per hour I'm driving. You tell me where to like keep steady. So I was teaching Billy like how I was gonna coordinate with Billy, while the guys in the back we're just showing him shots. So it was a lot of, and it was pretty quiet in the car. We only talked when we needed to like tell each other what we're gonna do next, and then all you hear is, okay, right, move up. I'm at 45 miles per hour. Okay. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and I like driving, I couldn't look at the monitor, and every time I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mess up the shot. So,
I'm gonna run him over.
Yeah,
like,
so
you hit him.
like,
You knocked him off the road.
it was like high stakes in that we had a compressed amount of time, but it wasn't high stakes like we're shooting a car commercial and there's like, it's like
Thousands and thousands of
$1,000 per
Yeah.
minute,
Yeah.
but it's still high stakes.
Yeah,
So
very
we were
high
used
stakes.
to that kind of intensity.
And all of us working together the first time.
First
like, I mean,
time.
I've worked with Donovan on a couple of these things, but Dean just stepped in.
Yep.
We're all in a
Yep.
car. I've never had you driving before, so
They have never had me
yeah.
driving.
And so that was really cool.
It was
and
really
then
cool.
and then also I feel like we were able to get a lot of good character out of your writing, because a lot of the times the
Yeah.
writing is very stiff and just kind of hanging out. Like, it was fun to see you zigging and zagging and enjoying and kind of looking off, and you can tell you've seen enough content to know what is cool and what is boring, and so I think all of us coming together, just that scene was incredible.
We were like super impressed with Cary, like throughout the entire, anytime we were on, because we collectively only had like, I think only 2 hours total, 45 minutes in the desert, and then an hour
downtown.
in downtown,
Which was
like
hectic.
with recording. And so we were learning the environment as we were learning each other, as we were learning what the coverage was.
Totally.
But Cary was super responsive, and even if we didn't have communication, it's like he naturally knew that he needed to, stay back. Like I think you were using hand signals because we didn't have like a walkie, we didn't have like AirPods in yet.
Yeah, until we got to downtown.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I've shot a lot with like my buddy JJ that he used to shoot for us a lot. He's kind of moved on, but he's the one that were like really told me, because he worked at Monster Garage. He worked with Jesse, and he shot a lot of that footage. He shot History of the Chopper, so like he's the one that taught me all that, where to be, how close to be, back off, like. So it was pretty easy for me, having worked with photographers and video editors before. So
You haven't even seen the downtown stuff. That was like all the really cool
The downtown
like,
stuff,
close-up.
yeah, it was hard because it was so dark, one,
Oh.
and then the other thing was that everything of his headlight was just blown out.
Well,
but
I
it
was
was
trying
haze.
to-
Well, no, there
I
was
was trying to stay aside.
it was
so
what we had on the lens.
Yeah,
It was a
called-
pro mist.
The
So
pro
just
mist, there you
Pro
go.
mist,
That's what
yeah.
it was.
So it was
Oh.
already
blew it out.
Yeah, so it was just looking like snowing, and you could just see this headlight.
Oh
so
man, so the light was too scattered.
a little bit.
But
yeah.
you got some really cool stills.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Stills, we got some good stuff. That the tunnel stuff was cool.
What
like
about the
all
close
that.
up on like when he was doing like there was the gears?
At the light, right?
the light?
That looked good too.
Oh,
but
okay.
at that point when that was being introduced, it was at the end, and I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
needed to kick
yeah.
in the gear and get the energy going.
Maybe
on
that's
that.
the B-roll for the podcast. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
for sure. No, it definitely will be a B-roll in that. And then another thing was funny was, having Brolin in the episode. He had said that he wanted to be in it. He had let Cary and I know, but then it was like Friday night at like 10 p.m. I'm sitting there on my couch like dozing off, and I get a text from Josh saying, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And then I get a text from you saying, "Hey, Josh reached out to me. What are we doing tomorrow?" And I said, "We're going.
We're filming,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he says, "Hey, meet here at this time and at the old place, and let's get rocking." That was also one of my favorite scenes as well, because you're talking about getting your first motorcycle, you're hanging out with the community, and then then all of a sudden we get this amazing riding footage of you guys together and with the whole crew and
Yeah.
Gilby and Christopher, and some of the lines that Christopher was dropping were just hilarious.
That whole crew is great, man. I have so much fun. I don't ride too much with them, but when I do, it's fun. Like they're just a fun group of people. It's a good time.
From your perspective, Luann, because we've worked on a couple of different projects together, and you had actually got to see when I had put together this pitch deck, and the original idea for this series was
June 2023.
Was that when it was?
Yeah,
You
because I
looked it up.
scrolled back because I was like, when did he send me that deck? Because we're at episode 5.
Yeah.
But what was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, so it was just funny, like, I had put together this idea for a show, and then I had pitched it over to Keanu Reeves and Gard Hollinger. I have a friend who kind of knew their management. she's represented by WME, and so she's like, oh, I can just send it on over. And so we sent it over, and then just never heard anything from it. And then I had sent it over to Brian Bowen Smith to say, hey, I tweaked the deck a little bit, put his face in there, and then it was just quiet, nothing. And I was pretty much ready to just hang this thing up. I was like, this is a cool idea, one of my many ideas. I guess this is not going to happen. And then out of nowhere, Brian hits me up and says, hey, come film tomorrow. I think it was like 2 days. 2 days from now, come to my house and we'll film this all in one day. And we had no script. I had no pre-interview, nothing. I just showed up. And
he was texting me right now. That's funny.
He was really right now?
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Shout out to Brian. Yeah. And we just showed up and just started just shooting off the hip. I mean, it was like raw, like no story. I'm figuring out the story in the master interview, and we're just trying to get it all out. But I guess to see that, and then to see where episode 5 is from your
super cool.
What is, I guess, from your producer perspective of seeing the original idea to seeing where it is now, I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on.
It's got a lot more soul, a lot more heart, a lot more warmth than the pitch deck would have. The pitch deck, to me, like, I thought, isn't there like a show like this already? Isn't there a show? Because in my mind, it was, another high performance machinery show. And then you see episode 1, and then you go to episode 2, and I'm like, how are you? This is like 8 months after you showed me the deck or something like that. I'm like, how are you like hitting the ground running with this? And then you watch it, and it's like there's so much more warmth than like that was on the page. And it made sense. Like this is about connecting audiences. It's like a portrait of people and bringing their, like, it's like you see a vision when you're a kid, and then you're like, this is what I want part of my life to be. And like I think that's kind of the through line of the episode, and that wasn't on the page. Like at least what I was reading.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, I almost think you have to do Brian again.
I mean,
because
Totally.
he is such an interesting guy,
Yeah.
man. I mean, talk about, like, he's riding with his son now, and
Yeah.
they gave him a bike. Like, it's just,
There's so
and
much
he's such
there.
a sweetheart too. Like that whole
Yeah.
group, whatever they call, I think Hollywood writers, whatever they call them, so it doesn't matter. But they're just nice people.
Yeah.
Gilby too, like
Yeah.
like Gilby. Have I ever told you my Gilby story when I
No.
first met him?
No, I want to hear this.
So we were riding to one of the early smokeouts in Arizona, and I was with a small group of people. And one of my buddies, Leon, I think I talked about him in the episode where his brothers all had sport bikes and we kind of fooled around with them. He was on that ride, and he's like one of these guys that just knows a lot of shit about random stuff, and he'll know, like, oh, yeah, you know, Gilby's married to this girl whose cousin is in this band and their uncle's in this band. Like, this is weird stuff. So we're in the middle of nowhere. I have a flat on my bike. We're trying to fix it. Gilby Rosen rides in on his Pan-Am. We're in the middle of the desert. There's one gas station. He rides in, and my buddy's like, do you know who that is? And I was like, who? He's like, that's Gilby Clark. I was like, from Guns N' Roses? I was like, no, it's not. He's like,
It's a mirage. We're in
like,
the desert.
Yeah. So and Gilby walks right up. Hey, you guys okay? Never met him before. Yeah, I just got a flat. We got tire off. I had a spare two. We're fixing it.
Wow.
And he's like, right on. I said, you guys going to smoke out? Yeah. All right, cool. Gas up. All right, man. You guys. All right. See you later. Just leaves.
Aww.
Way later, I told him that story again, and like I think we were in El Diablo run or something. He's like, oh, that was you. I remember that. Like, yeah.
Aww.
So just by himself, I think he had gotten separated from his group, and I remember thinking, like, that is some gangster ass shit. You're just on a Pan-Am in the middle of the desert going to Arizona by yourself.
Solo.
Like, yeah. And
Pulling
that's-
over for people, too. Like, what a gangster.
Yeah, well, he was filling up, and
Yeah.
but still, Wade came to see if we need help. Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of person he is. Like, the guitarist from Guns N' Roses came to see if I needed help working on my motorcycle, right? Like, that's
Platinum
that's
recording
pretty cool. That
artist.
shows
Yeah.
how, this tight-knit chopper community is. Like,
Yeah.
Brolin, Gilby, it doesn't matter. You're just
Yeah.
a dude on a motorcycle. It doesn't matter who you are. Like,
And I think it's funny you mentioned redoing an episode with Brian. Brian and Gilby have definitely both on the side said, gosh, I kind of wish I wasn't the first and
Yeah,
second
I
episode.
bet, yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
I
still
know.
good, though. Their episodes
Yeah.
are still really good.
They have a charm to it. And especially, like I said, with Brian, there was no pre-production. It was just show up and shoot. So there is definitely a plan to come in and,
Circle back on those
circle
guys,
back
and
on it.
yeah.
Because I would love, there's, like you said, there's so much with Brian. And really, if it wasn't for Brian really jumping out and helping me with this project, I might still be on a shelf somewhere. And so every episode premiere that we do, I always shout out Brian in the crowd, because really truly he really opened a lot of doors for me, and he didn't have to, you know, like he's an upper echelon professional, and when you put your name behind somebody's project in this industry, when you're that high up, it's a lot. It says a lot about the faith that they have in it. So yeah, shout out to Brian, and definitely will want to do something. And maybe I do something where it's him and his son, you know, like their kind of story.
Cool.
That would be cool.
When I first met Brian, I wanted to do a piece on him, and I did. I did a feature on him and his artwork as like a featured artist and some stuff. And then he's like, "Hey, I'll shoot something for you." And I was like, "Oh, like I know his level of photography." And I was like, "Dude, I don't like, my budgets are nowhere like." My budget can't even pay your assistant probably. Like, and he's like, "I'll do it for free, man. I just want to do it. I think your magazine's cool." And I was like having someone like BBS shoot features for you, like amazing. That's insane. Like amazing. To have that level of photographer, you know, shoot stuff for us is, you know, I'm forever grateful for that guy, you know, for being a part of this. So
I just want to say thank you so much for keeping that print alive. And I know it's very taxing on you, because you are doing so much. I mean, you do have a team, but at the end of the day, it's running through you, and that's a lot. And so more props to keeping that alive. And I just love your magazine.
Thank you. And I appreciate you telling the story. Like, I really, truly never thought it would be an interesting watch. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. So you did a great job putting it together. Your whole crew did great. So you made it easy, made it fun.
Yeah.
So.
And thank you, Loanne and Michael and Donovan for helping out on all of that. Awesome. You guys always have my back, and I'm just excited.
It's great to be a part of this. It was great to like support telling people's story and have fun doing it, and like, you know, just because I think everybody has, you know, generosity. Like, I feel like the most, like, you can't force people to be generous, right? It's a voluntary thing. Yeah. Like, the part of being generous is that when you have 100% voluntary, you get to fully express yourself. And I felt like this episode was the opportunity for everyone to be generous with their talents and the things they have to offer and share with the rest of the world. And who knows, like, somebody in a completely different country is like, you could do that with your life? That's cool. You're offering, like, it's like a buffet of ideas and thoughts and like moments that like people can participate as a reader and maybe add to their life in the future or shape their dreams, you know. That's what I think you're doing.
It's just choppers. Just having fun. And that's how. But no, it is a good. You know, we pride ourselves in the magazine of having good stories. You know, we get my copy editor Max. You know, he takes it serious. Where, you know, people will send in like 4 sentences for their build, and he's got to call them and find out who's. You mentioned these 4 guys. Who are they? Where are they from? Oh, that's the old timer that gave you this, you know, tank that had this bike for 60 years and rode with this guy. So he tells that story, right? And instead of just the 4 sentences on the bike, like, we dive into it and we try and tell the story. So
so he'll take half-baked stories and then put his time to build the story up.
He'll call the guy and say, like, who's this guy? What did you mean by this? Where'd you get the part? You know, I always try and tell people, you know, because it's funny that people will, like, when they talk to me, they'll talk shit. Oh, this guy fucking burned me on this part. And I'm like, put it in the story. Fuck him. Fuck that guy. Put it in the story. Like, let's call him out. Like, who cares? Most of the time it doesn't go in just because they don't want to, you know, maybe they need to buy a part from that guy later or something. I don't know. But, you know, I don't mind. We're not putting a magazine out like, you know, Easy Riders and some of the mags or the Paisano publications, they had their magazine in Walmart, so they had strict guidelines to abide by. We don't have any guidelines. I could change it up, and you might just get a Choppers magazine with just Frenchie bulldogs, like, just, you know, like a whole issue of it.
Your best-selling issue ever.
You know, and it'd just be like, you're gonna get the magazine in the mail, and be like, what the fuck is this? It'd just be Frenchies on Choppers. I don't know, like.
That's funny because I'm actually excited. You're actually providing me the opportunity to write an article for you. We actually had Josh Bell out to photograph the event, which I'm such a big fan of his work. So I'm excited to see those photos. But I'm excited to put my writing hat back on. I went through high school in the journalism class, and I had dreams of being a writer, and then ended up kind of getting into the more visual arts. But it's been amazing putting that hat back on and writing again.
Well, everything you learned in your journalism class, just throw it out and just write what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it'll be much better.
Yeah, I've definitely approached it on the Gonzo, Hunter S. Thompson vibe. I think honestly, I'll give you a sneak peek. I started off with me getting up at 3 a.m. because my neighbor's dog sucks. And I go to the bathroom and I'm pissing and I'm telling you this whole story while I'm pissing. And then the end of the story is me finishing pissing, walking back, laying back down and trying to fall asleep.
That's really Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah, so I like that.
And then you're getting all of the story in the middle of it, and then I have the bookends, and so I'm going very Gonzo with it.
Can you take some pictures and take some down? We need that in there.
I'm just here for the beats.
Yeah, exactly. So well, thanks so much for coming on the show, and thank you, Luann, for coming on the show, and all your guys' support. And, look forward to dropping this one, and thank you guys if you guys have made it all the way this far. Thank you so much, and looking forward to the next episode. We have some more news coming about who that will be coming up here in the next couple weeks here, and look forward to seeing you guys on the flip side. Have a good night, guys. Good day wherever you are.
Thank you.